big news, I think, is the trial that should have taken place first. The trial that I felt strongly was the best case to point up how insanely corrupt and completely unhinged and disconnected from any sort of barrier as to how this guy would behave was Donald Trump and is Donald Trump. The document trial, the document case, which is really an espionage case. It's the movement of classified material to the ballroom, bathroom, office, closet, bedroom at Mar-a-Lago, to Bedminster, to Manhattan. It's suggested that these documents, thousands of them, are in all of these different places, taken illegally, and then actively evading subpoenas and other efforts on the part of archivists and the government to get these documents back. You have no right to retain them, and still, as president, Trump jacked tons of them. So many of them, you couldn't have fit them into two of those huge Suburbans if he had to truck them all back. He lied to the government about them being returned. He asked others to lie. He asked others to move the documents. There is no reason, there is no possible explanation that lets him off the hook on this documents case. And it's for that reason, it's so easy to understand for the general public. It's for that reason that I thought this documents case was critical. It's a better case than the January 6th case, and that involved overthrowing the government. It involved a coup. Why is the document case so easy to understand? Because it's just what I described. Guy jacked the documents. He was whipping them around Mar-a-Lago. He left them in unclassified areas, and they relate to some of the nation's biggest secrets. I include military secrets. These are sensitive documents with a capital S. So that's why I felt this case made so many points about Trump and his administration. But we're not going to hear this case. This case is getting buried by the Trump judge. The Trump judge, Eileen Cannon, has canceled the May trial date, did not set a new date. And in parking this case, it's very likely that this case will never see the light of day. Do you have the video, Albert, of this is a former White House attorney who's weighing in on this, Eileen Cannon's judgment. It's that Ty Cobb. And here he is. Here's a little bit of what Ty Cobb's reaction was. This is just a couple hours ago on CNN. Go ahead, Albert, please.
I think it was always her objective, frankly, to prevent this from going to trial. But also, I think her inability, wholesale inability, to do it was made palpable.
So Ty, is this bias or is it just utter incompetence?
Well, I think I once said that it's, to be fair to her, she may merely be incompetent, but no, this is a combination of bias and incompetence. I mean, for example, she scheduled a hearing on today in this order on the issue of, who constitutes Trump's trial team, or not Trump's, the Justice Department's trial team here, the special counsel's trial team, because of Trump's frivolous allegations that it includes a sweeping number of government officials. Now, that's a frivolous motion. No other judge would actually have a hearing on that, but she has scheduled one. The things that she has done here are really inexplicable, and it's tragic. She talks about the having honored the public's interest in the administration of justice by postponing the trial. She has not honored the public's interest, for one day in this case, as she has sat in her office, apparently paralyzed from ruling on easily resolvable motions. And sadly, this case will not go to trial, notwithstanding the fact that it's one of the most important cases in history and could have easily been tried in advance of the election.
Yes, certainly. I mean, the fact pattern on that one, very clear, right? This is not like something like January 6th, where there are a lot of precedent and other issues to consider.
Thank you. That's enough, Albert. Then she, the anchor there, made the exact point that I made. I mean, it's just so straightforward here. There's no way you can look at these facts and in any way do the pretzel logic required to somehow justify it. Well, he declassified all the documents. First, he didn't. Secondly, you can't. Thirdly, why would you? These are some of the most sensitive secrets. We know that because of some of the other information that has come through the grand jury. We also know that he actively covered up the government's ability to get these documents, and we know that through grand jury testimony. His right-hand guy, that Will Nauta guy, you read that grand jury testimony. I mean, Trump essentially said, grab a bunch of documents, give them to the government, and that's it. And that's what that first batch of documents that the Trump people handed over to the lawyers for the government, that's what they were. They were stuff that Will Nauta was told to give to them to essentially shut them up. And then you'll remember that a letter was sent, signed by Trump lawyers, saying that was everything they had, which was it was a fraction of what they had. So all of that is just so easy to understand, and it reflects directly on the fact that Trump feels as though the guardrails, the law, the oath, none of it applies to him. I feel it a real setback.
I wonder if there's any way to go around this judge. Either a censure if she's not doing her job, as I heard more than one judge and lawyer say on news shows last night that she's dropped the ball here. So I wonder if someone can file suit that she's, had a miscarriage of justice in the interest of the American people, or if there's some way to get her removed so this case can actually proceed, because from what I understand, she's let these motions stack up, hasn't ruled on them when she could, and now she's overwhelmed and says there's just too much to do, we have to put it on hold indefinitely.
Well, the problem with that, there are a ton of problems with that. I mean, but I'll just give you the first one. The timeline on that is just not, even if you could do it, it's not practical. I mean, you've got to get this stuff done before the election, right? Because once the guy's elected, he'll get rid of this case.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. So the other thing is, this is the judge shopping that they talk about, and there probably there may be grounds for review. We can talk to David Katz about this tomorrow. But the fundamental problem, look, I'll give you two fundamental problems. One fundamental problem is with the Judge Cannon. We've detailed across the board. It's been detailed everywhere. She's essentially Trump's lackey. She's playing for perhaps the appointment to essentially a judicial promotion when Trump gets into office, should he get into office. She also feels clearly, underlying a lot of these decisions, it would seem, she feels a loyalty to Trump. But there is a more fundamental problem here. And I called it out at the time, and David Katz called it out at the time. This case never should have made it to Florida. Why is this case being tried in Florida? This case is about documents that were jacked from where? Washington. It should be tried in Washington. It's outrageous that Jack Smith, who is a sharp, aggressive counselor, prosecutor, attorney, that he would take his chances by getting it down to Florida, where, sure enough, you end up with a Trump concierge judge. Can I, get you some water with that, sir? With this court delay? And so you end up in a place that you shouldn't be. There's no reason that this case should be tried in Florida. So that's the more fundamental problem. But it doesn't matter. You can't turn that back. And then whatever legal remedies of the sort that Kim is talking about might be available, they won't be available in time. And so I think that's a huge, I won't say completely unexpected, shocking development, but it's a huge development of the day. And yeah, sorry, what's that?
I think B.A. Ware is right. Cannon will be on the Supreme Court in 3 years is her bet, right? I mean, if he gets in, she's going to be rewarded handsomely.
Well, she could be, in any number of ways she could be rewarded, and that certainly would be the crown jewel. So, hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.